Well, hi there and welcome to this week's edition of Feeling Smarter. As always, I'm joined by Tim Miller. G'day, Tim. How are you?
Yeah, going pretty well, Aaron.
Great to see you in person once again.
Always a pleasure to be here.
So we're going to talk about a small change that we saw at the end of the financial year. A lot of the discussion, of course, has been around Division 296, Payday Super, whole raft of stuff. But there was an important change to the definition of self-managed super funds that we saw through the Treasury Laws Amendment, all around delivering an efficient and trusted tax system act. Wish they'd create things that were much smaller than what they are. But anyway, that is what it is. And this really fell off the back of a decision that we saw in New South Wales, Regainer. And I guess without going into the detail of that, we saw the New South Wales Trustee and Guardianship get appointed, and then through, I guess, the long process of who can step into the role of trustee, we saw a liquidator get appointed in a roundabout way, where insofar that they couldn't be remunerated for their services when we look at things ordinarily. And what this really highlighted is the fact that the simple definition of who can be a director and trustee of a fund came to the fore. And ultimately what we've seen with this change is a new insertion of a public trustee, and therefore that public trustee able to add a nominee, in essence, to act as a trustee or director. And then ultimately seen that change within Section 17B around remuneration as well.
Yeah, and so, as I say, it's ultimately a minor change, but it's major in the essence of that, we often don't think of self-managed super fund members utilising the public trustee.
Yes.
Right? So that's probably where the significance of what we classify as size of this from an amendment point of view is that most SMSFs are set up and they'll have someone else that's acting as their legal person or representative. But that's clearly not always going to be the case. And I've certainly seen scenarios historically where someone has passed away and it's been referred to the public trustee because they haven't nominated, they haven't got a will, they haven't nominated.
And mostly we should say that this is related to areas of incapacity and death.
Yeah, that's right. So this covers off on a couple of the core parts of 17A paragraph 3, which talks about the LPR with the death of the member, but also an enduring power of attorney. So often a public trustee might be appointed where somebody loses capacity. So so this covers off on both those areas. And so one, because we know that from a trusteeship point of view, we have to appoint a natural person, either as individual trustee or as director of the corporate trustee. So we've got to deal with that. And so the legislation accommodates that. But that was clearly not ever the issue. The issue was more around the trustee remuneration piece, which says that you can't be remunerated for undertaking your role as trustee of the fund. And then that was reiterated in 17B with what you could be remunerated for. And so what we've seen is an explicit amendment to 17B to accommodate remuneration for undertaking your role as trustee of a fund where you've been appointed by the public trustee.
Yeah, and that's important. It's an important distinction in that definition, because ordinarily, as an accountant or an advisor or something where you are being remunerated for services that relate to your fund, you are wearing a different hat, because you're undertaking services where you hold the necessary license, you offer those services to the public at large, it's done on commercial terms, et cetera, but they are non-trustee duties, as opposed to, in this instance, we're talking about the trusteeship of the fund going forward.
Yeah, that's right. And there'll be, I suspect, different conversations around this piece, but I also have a feeling, and this is more sort of my own thought process around it, is that the public trustee is not just going to appoint someone willy-nilly, right? They are obviously going, because the public trustee themselves is a natural person. And so they will, in my interpretation of this, effectively appoint an agent of theirs to act as trustee of the fund.
And ultimately, the Regainer case, we saw that being liquidated. There is potential scope for different parties to ultimately come into this role, and even thinking out aloud, whilst it's talking about it in the context of death and incapacity, there could also be other situations where that public trustee could come in essence, to make certain decisions, I guess, in the ongoing operation of the fund.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good step forward. I should say on the Smarter SMSF side, we naturally needed to make some changes to the deed to reflect these. So from July 26, we've got naturally the public trustee incorporated, both in the context of trusteeship itself around Rule 3, and then also into the remuneration and the requirements that ultimately fall both within 17A and 17B. So, Tim, thanks again for your time.
Always a pleasure.
And we look forward to you seeing us again for next week's edition of Feeling Smarter. Take care and bye for now.
Bye all.